Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be reviewing Omen 3, The Final Conflict. Now this was originally just titled The Final Conflict, but they changed it later on down the line to be more in suiting with the Omen trilogy, and I actually prefer this title. And this is from 1981. It's directed by Graham Baker and stars Sam Neill. This tells the continuation of Damian's path to dominance. However, Christ's second coming may just have an impact on that and forces Damian to take drastic action. Now guys, I have reviewed the other Omen movies in this franchise. I'll leave them in the link down below if you want to go and check them reviews out. But in them reviews, I stated that I've always been a fan of the Omen, but I only watched 2 and 3 for the first time a couple of years ago, and I actually was quite surprised and really enjoyed them. So I was looking forward to jumping into this one again and giving it a rewatch. And what I really liked about The Final Conflict is the story direction that we go in here. Now, Damian 2 is a fun enough movie. I really enjoyed it, but there's a lot of familiarity in that film compared to the first one. I mean, it follows a lot of the same story beats. People find out about Damian and then are killed, so on, repeat the cycle. But here, we already have these priests at the start of the movie, these 7 priests who know that Sam Neill's character is Damian Omen. He is the Antichrist, and they are going to take matters into their own hands because Christ's second coming is about to happen. The stars have aligned, and they want rid of Damian before Christ gets back on Earth, basically. And they're going to take these 7 Daggers of Megiddo to kill him. They're the only things that can kill him, and they're going to take one each and try and assassinate Damian. Now, I think that is such a cool and interesting story concept to go with, and I'm really happy that this movie done something different instead of just doing the same thing the first and the second movie did, but having Damian as an adult. Now, Damian at the start of this movie is in a real position of power due to the arc that he's been on in the first 2 movies and then at this one. His plan all seems to be in place and going perfectly well for world domination, which is what he's been doing from the start, basically. And he is just an unstoppable force, it feels like now. He's such a powerful figurehead. It feels like he's untouchable. I mean, he's in with the damn president, for Christ's sake. And there's a whole bit of romance side of things here involving Damian and this journalist named Kate. Now, Kate has this son who doesn't really have a father figure, and Damian uses that to his advantage because this kid really looks up to Damian once he starts sort of dating his mother a little bit there. I think this is a real good piece of writing because it shows what Damian has been up to for the past 15 years, since the Omen 2, really, because he really does get in this kid's ear and uses him as one of his apostles, basically. And I think that one storyline of just showing how he easily manipulates this kid shows how many of these other people he's manipulated. I mean, there's a scene later on where he's given a speech to all these apostles on Earth, and there are hundreds of them, and it just shows that Damian can really worm his way into people's ears and stuff like that. He gets his grubby mitts in all these small grooves where he needs to, even in with people in positions of power. Like I mentioned, the damn president. So I think that one is kind of a hidden exposition, really, to show how Damian has been working for the past 15 years. And I like to think in each one of these movies, we have seen the true evil side of this Damian character. In the first movie, he attempts to kill his own mother, or adopted mother, whatever you want to call it. In the second film, he kills his cousin Mark, who he is very close friends with, the most important person in his life. And in this one, it goes to a little bit of extreme. So Christ has been born between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. I think, from memory, it was the 23rd of March. So Damian gets all his apostles together and says, I want you to go and find out all these babies that were born between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. and kill them and rid them, just because I want to make sure that Christ is rid of the world so I can carry on my world domination. And he kind of threatens them all, really. If he doesn't do it, it's the end for him and the end for them. And we just see this little montage scene of all these newborn babies being killed. And a couple of years ago, I thought it was quite an upsetting scene. You know, no newborn babies are innocent, of course, but as a father now, this scene really hit home a little bit. It had a bit more impact. And most of the kills are cut away and stuff like that, but it's kind of what you don't see that really makes you think, holy shit, this guy is just not letting anything stop him. I mean, there's a priest who's really an apostle of Satan suffocating a baby at a christening, for Christ's sake. It really does go for it. Now, I do kind of have a mixed thought about Sam Neill in this movie. This was really his first real breakout role. I mean, I think he'd only starred in TV shows and movies in New Zealand, where he was from. But this is his international role, really, his breakout role, if you like. And he's gone on to have a magnificent career, of course, with Jurassic Park and Event Horizon and stuff. And he's fine in some of this movie, but sometimes I just feel like he's overacting the part a little bit. Like, there's one scene where he will talk to this giant crucifix that he's got in his house or wherever it is. And he's kind of just talking to this Jesus Christ on the cross like it's his biggest nemesis, and of course it is. But he kind of overacts his little speeches. He kind of forces it a little bit there. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can take this seriously here. Also, when he's speaking to all his apostles in that big field, which I believe was filmed on the moors in Yorkshire, he's just kind of overacted it again. He's doing this big, gigantic speech, like he really putting it out there, and I'm like, oh, it just seemed a little bit off. I know it's early on in his career; he can improve as an actor, of course. But in the other scenes where he's just kind of acting normal, I think he had this real good evil charm about him, and it was a really good transition from Damian in the first two films. I believe that this was the same character, so I think he got all that right. It was just when he had to do something a little bit more, kind of fell flat for me.
I stand before you in the name of the one who was cast out from heaven, but is alive in me.
Now, the movie is a little bit of a slower pace compared to the first two films, but to be honest, I don't mind this. This isn't going to work for a lot of people. I know a lot of people kind of find this film a little bit more boring compared to the first two films. And I get that, but for me, I was just glad to take the story in. I feel like this with a lot of franchises. When the movie does something different, I appreciate it a little bit more. Like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is one of my favourite Halloween films because I watched that entire franchise and I just went, holy shit, they're doing something different here. Now, I know this is only 3 movies in, but that second film did really feel like it was following the same formula as the first one. But here it's different to me. I know I mentioned this earlier, but I'm just saying the pacing is a little bit slower. But I didn't mind that. I liked the way the movie was giving us time to breathe and just take the story in. So for me, it personally works, but it won't work for everyone. Now, guys, at the start of the video, I mentioned how cool this concept was with this story we have here of these priests going out there to kill Damian once and for all with these Megiddo daggers. And unfortunately, as that is a great setup, that also falls flat. I mean, I kind of couldn't take these characters seriously after about the second or third failed assassination attempt. I mean, these priests are just the worst assassins you can think of to go and try and kill Damian. I mean, they come up with the most stupid ideas, and each one of them is just failed miserably and dies. Now, there's one that I was like, holy shit, really? Is this how these guys are going to attempt to kill Damian? They're at a TV studio and Damian is being interviewed, and one of them stands on a beam above and tries to jump off. But he's really struggling to balance on this beam, and then someone just shouts, Damian, look out, and the guy falls. Just kind of falls into these flames, really. And I was just like, well, that was the worst assassination attempt I've ever seen. Also, there's one point later on where Damian is out hunting, and they have to really come up with this creative plan to trap Damian. And a lot of it is just luck, the way they trap him there. But even when they do, they didn't think of the 100 dogs that he's got around him. They should know that he can manipulate them dogs. And you guessed it, the dogs basically kill these priests, or one of them. And I was just like, oh man, I can't take this storyline seriously at all now. I just know these people aren't going to kill him. Also, we find out in this movie that these daggers have been hidden under the Thorn Museum for a very long time, and they're the only thing that can kill Damian. Now, for me, would Damian not use his brain a little bit there and have them recovered by one of his apostles or a few of his apostles and keep them locked away in his home so no one can get at them? threat is always out there because he didn't use his noggin to go and get these daggers and keep them for himself. I mean, he's in with the president and everything. He owns the biggest company in America and the world and stuff, but he didn't think of that. I mean, come on. Surely the devil's son who wants to take over the world and the only thing that can stop him, he would want to have them in his possession. Also, one thing I really did not like about the final conflict, guys, is the ending. Now, this movie has been built up and built up and built up for Damian to basically rule the world. He is the devil's son, and he's this very powerful character. And it's all over by one stab to the back with this dagger from a woman who is just this journalist, really. I mean, I know the daggers are the only thing that can kill him, but it was just felt so anticlimactical. It was kind of laughable, really. I thought, could we have not made this such an evil character who's been killing all these babies and everything, you know, killing all these people around him, all his loved ones? Could we not really give him a better death than that? Could we not find something else to kill this character off? This powerful being? No, just one stab, bang, dead. See ya. It didn't work for me at all. However, guys, this is not a bad third entry at all. I mean, a lot of people may not appreciate this one, but for me, I welcomed the change up there. Even though it's not executed all that well in some places, there's a lot to like here. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give Omen 3, The Final Conflict, a 6.5 out of 10. Not a bad way to round off a good horror trilogy. Okay, guys, at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, a fun fact for the Omen 3, The Final Conflict, is that Sam Neill and Lisa Harrow, who have the romance in the movie, actually had a son themselves off screen, and his name is Tim Neill, so they developed a little bit of a romance behind the scenes there. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. Don't forget to check out my other Omen reviews. I'll leave them in the link down below. I'm going to be doing the Omen 4 The Awakening next, so don't forget to check that out as well. What do you think of Omen 3 The Final Conflict? Please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll get back to you all, I promise. Thanks so much, guys. You take care, and I'll see you on the next video.